Hello everyone, and welcome to my next video for Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. And in this video, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and call them, I'm going to take on the October Heretics, because they're always called Power and Magic's deepest chasm. We know the drill by now. And in this one, I'm bringing a team of Kefka, Freya and Shadow with an Ifrit summon. So I'm a little bit pissed off this morning. Not gonna lie, because I did actually try to record my pulls for Kefka's stuff. Unfortunately, not only did I hit the wrong button, but I also had the wrong settings, and so my recording is completely useless. So I basically just did a whole pull session, and it's, you know, there's nothing to show for it. Well, that's not completely a lie. There is something to show for it. There is Kefka's EX weapon, and there is his LD, which is the important bit. I didn't have any of Kefka's stuff before now, although I did actually farm a few artifacts for him in advance. I still need some more CS50s, but basically my Kefka is completely fully maxed out, set up, ready to go. Yeah, just to basically cut a long story short, I don't have too much attachment to Kefka from a character love standpoint, even though I do like FF6. But I've never actually used Kefka before at all. Like, I never had his EX weapon. That's a lie, I did use a Kefka once. I used him in his Lost chapter. Or in his initial character. Yeah, it was in his Lost chapter, and it was back when, even on the most difficult content, you had to carry the Lost chapter character. So I brought Kefka along with just a 0 LB 15 CP, and that was enough at the time for me to actually complete it, because his debuffs are that goddamn strong, and that is basically Kefka. Like, Kefka is the king of debuffs. That is what he does, and that's kind of why I wanted to go in for his stuff now. I mean, to be honest, if it wasn't for the challenge quests, I'm not entirely sure whether I would be going in for him or not, but because we do have the CQs, and because actually there's a few future Lufenias that I think he's able to just completely shut down, so I did want to get all of his stuff. Anyway, let's just quickly go over the enemies that we'll be facing here. So we've got the Necro Raven, which is just, it sets as boss. It's like a Phoenix, but it's even less threatening than a Phoenix because it doesn't actually do a bravery attack when it revives itself. We've got a pair of Behemoths, and we've got the Sahagin Shamans, which would be frustrating if it was not for the fact that we've got Kefka on the team. Anyway, let's jump into it. So, I mean, we've got Kefka, he's the king of debuffs. Like, the enemies aren't really going to be able to do much of anything, so I might as well just sort of, you know, kick it off and get started. Anyway, so, like, I've never really used Kefka before because I've been more focused on turn efficiency, and Kefka's damage is not the greatest, shall we say. But his ability to completely dominate and shut down fights with the debuffs that he has is definitely significant. So I figured, like, I want to pull Kefka's stuff, not just because of the challenge quests, but also because, oh my god, are you going to tell me that you're hitting bloody Shadow? Alright, well, I'll just chuck Trine on you and get some blind on there. You're not going to be hitting him again, are you? Unfortunately, we do miss the counter-attack there. But yeah, basically, I want Kefka for his ability to completely shut down key fights. Let's just get the hyperdrive on there. Like, the ability to just completely clog an enemy's buff bar full with debuffs is honestly way too tempting for me to pass up. So even if the challenge quests weren't a thing, I would probably still be pulling for Kefka just because he seems like a lot of fun. And when you're not chasing for turn count, he also seems extremely useful. So, I was saying before, like, I mean, I'm chatting shit now, but this is basically because, I mean, I don't really have to pay attention. I've used hyperdrive because the thing about Kefka's LD is not only does it frame all of his existing debuffs, it also extends them by a turn as well. So, I mean, you've got framed HP damage, like, disable, you've got framed blind, and then a defense drop, and a speed drop, attack drop, and then a framed debuff that does all of the above plus sap on top of it. Like, the enemy's just a complete sitting duck. Like, that would have been a cleanse, but it doesn't cleanse framed debuffs. So as long as you've got the everything framed up before it decides to do anything like threatening, then you're going to be completely fine, and you're not really going to be in any sort of danger for, like, pretty much the whole of the fight. So yeah. In terms of the banners, I'm not entirely sure. I think I'm going to try to skip Emperor, right? Because one of the main criticisms that I have about Emperor's LD is the fact that, okay, so the LD lets you, like, blow up all the bombs that you've got on a target when you use it, right? But how many uses of it are you actually going to manage to pull off? Because for optimum usage, you're going to use his like changed HP and bravery attacks after you use the EX, right? So you're going to have like at most one turn to actually get the most out of it. And then the enemy's going to take its turn, then the bombs are going to blow up, and you're going to completely lose the whole point of having the, you know, the LD weapon. Or you're going to go into summon, and then you can get use of it for like basically for the summon phase only, right? I think we're coming into launch territory here, so I don't know. I'll just use another Dragon Breath just to get the stacks up with Freya. So unfortunately, I am yeah, there we go. Launch down it is. The reason I'm bringing Ifrit here is because I've only got Freya for the auras. I do actually have Aerith, but my Aerith is at 0 LB, and she doesn't have any summon boards done, and she's basically just not ready for this kind of fight. So I'm bringing Ifrit just for a little bit of extra attack aura, even though we've already shifted into more of a bravery damage reduction meta, so like even if you have a lot of attack, it won't necessarily mean too much if the brave damage reduction is too high, but you know, I like my Ifrit. I feel a bit more comfortable having it. Oh man, you can, oh damn it, I really wanted Shadow to be up here so I could pop his Crystal 65 because they're both targeting him, so that would be like amazing for the counterattacks. So yeah, so you have a couple of choices with Emperor as far as I can see. Like, you can bring a delayer along with him, like Kistis for example, and then you can get some use out of him that way. But you basically have to forego damage in order to do it because his trap's potency is not good. Like, it is one of the weakest things about him. I'm just going to pop a Crystal 65 here so we know we'll get the Shadow evasion. Like, his Emperor's trap's potency still sucks even with his LD, right? So he really needs characters like Desh and like Saz to actually do a lot of damage and to get the most out of him. But if you don't bring those along, then you aren't getting the most out of his. You're not going to be able to delay if you bring characters like that along. You know what I mean? So I'm really thinking that Emperor is a skip this time around. I mean, when he gets his burst, then he's definitely going to be someone that I'll be interested in. But until that time, I'm not really feeling it, to be fair. But I've said that before, and I've still pulled on banners, so we'll see how it goes. So I just realised I really probably should have used Hyperdrive there, like, because they're gonna get all the buffs up now. Yeah, I fucked up. Never mind. That's me not paying attention. That's what happens. So even though Kefka's got his EX here, I'm going to have him take a rain check on that. Oh dear, I managed to completely stuff this one up, didn't I? Oh well. That's what you get when you don't pay attention. You know what, I'll do a Havoc Wing here and then I'll just go into Summon. Like, I didn't really want to go into Summon on this wave, but I don't think it really matters, to be honest. Actually, no, I won't do that, question mark, will I do that? Yeah, I think I will do that. Let's pop one of these. So this is what we call making the best of a bad situation. Don't skimp out on your debuffs, kids. When these things, like the one thing that all the enemies in this quest have in common is that they all like to throw on a bunch of buffs, and you're not gonna need to worry about it if you enframe all of your debuffs with Kefka. Obviously, this quest is really built around Kefka because it's kind of like his showcase, you know. So I'm gonna make the most of the battery during the summon with Freya because that is the smart thing to do. Yeah, let's do this. I mean, Kefka is really not in danger of ever running out of skills, ever. At least not in current content. That's one good thing about him. Let me see. Can do it like this with the break order, so we might even end up killing these guys before I end up having to use the LD even. You never know. So I think I'm going to go in for Strago though. Anyway, let's pop a Shadow Stealth. Okay, that's it. And we can take out A without really... Yeah, there we go. Let's just do a Meteor or something. There we go. No problem. Not the most efficient use of turns there, but whatever, we're still alive, it's all good. So I'm definitely a lot more interested in Strago because I know he's bait, right? And I know he's like an LD only character who doesn't have a burst weapon and he's like a pure damage character, but I mean, one, I really like his voice actor, two, I really like his like simplicity, the fact that he can do like 400k damage in a turn basically in optimum conditions. Like, that just really appeals to me. Okay, so if I do this to make the most of the battery, and what I'm going to do is I am going to do a hyperdrive here. I've still got 3 LD uses from Kefka left. So here we'll enframe the HP silence, and let's do a wild throw. There we go, and hopefully B will miss Shadow, because it will certainly suck if he doesn't. There we go, no problem. I think these enemies definitely have the chunkiest brave damage reduction. Let's pop another Crystal 65 because they're both targeting Shadow, which is what we'd like to see. And that is going to be a Light of Judgment from Kefka. Yes, I know his EX is up. I don't really care about that. Well, I do. I do and I don't, you know. There we go. So yeah, I'm definitely going in for Strago, just because I just like him, you know. In fact, arguably, I like both Strago and Realm more in Opera Omnia than I ever liked them in the original FF6. I can't really call Strago a favourite yet because I don't play the JP version, so I don't have experience with like how he is there. But just based on what I've seen, he looks good to me. Alright, so this is going to be another LD. I want to get all the frame buffs up on debuffs up on there, all the extensions. Okay, excellent. So again, so yeah, I'm not spending any character board points on Shadow because it's kind of like a bit of a black hole, if you know what I mean. Because he's still to receive any kind of upgrades on the JP version. Yeah, and you can't do a thing. And let's finally use Kefka's EX. So my turns are going to be a bit fucked here because I kind of screwed things up a little bit. But that's the price you pay. Yeah, no, do Shadow Stealth because of the battery. And I'll pop with these. And another one of these. One thing I do love about Kefka's LD is just the amount of damage it does. Like, in terms of bravery damage, you're probably never going to not cap with it. You can't do a thing. You're going to hit Shadow, hopefully. Well, you're not going to hit him, that's the point. So yeah, I know like this whole quest was basically me chatting shit and not really talking about the fight at all, but the fact of the matter is, like, for this quest and for almost all quests going forwards, if you have Kefka on the team, the only thing you need to worry about is, do I have enough damage? Do I have enough damage to actually meet the turn count? Because if the answer is yes, then you're probably not going to need to worry about anything else, because Kefka just prevents enemies from doing anything, and that's really why I wanted his stuff. Look, there we go, it's completed. The enemies didn't really get a single hit off. I mean, you've got 4 uses of Trine, and you've got 4 uses of like LD. So that's 12 total turns of HP damage, like HP attack silence. I mean, what are they going to do, right? Literally, what are they going to do? Anyway, that's it for the Heretics. Yeah, pretty much not a challenge. So the turn count is obviously a lot higher with Kefka than it would be with most other characters. You know, you don't have Ardyn's ridiculous damage per turn, and you don't have Noctis's complete broken shenanigans. But on the other hand, the enemies can't move. So as long as you can meet the turn count, then having Kefka on the team is pretty much a guaranteed win as far as I can tell. I mean, it won't be that way forever, because later on enemies do start cleansing frame debuffs, which is a thing, and it's very annoying, and it's part of why they've introduced gold frames debuffs now that Kadaj exists on the JP version, but that's in the future. So for now, this is going to be my completion run of the Kefka Heretics. Thanks everyone for watching, and until the next one, take care and goodbye.